morning, good evening. Who bakes you a cake for your birthday but then pinches your nipple when you try to blow out the candles? It's us, the American Scouser TV Thursday night podcast. ASTV if you're a cool kid. I'm joined by Brian as always, and we have a special guest this week, Sir Z, super sub, David Fairclough. Sir Z in for Trevor, who's
Harvey Elliott.
He's been Harvey Elliott, super sub. He's been Trevor's been taken over by his plant. If Alan is watching at all, is like Dave the Triffids. But Brian, how are you?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah, so Z, good to have you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm in the future, like Brian is. So, like, you're still in Tuesday. So, we'll let you know what has happened in the world of football. And
the lottery numbers.
Here's what we're going to talk about tonight. Thomas Tuchel, the New England manager, all official and all that kind of stuff, but not starting until a little bit later. So Lee Carsley gets to ruin things, hopefully, agent Carsley for Ireland. And then Real apparently making moves to sign Trent Alexander-Arnold. We'll talk about that. And then also the game coming up on Sunday, which for once Macka will get to watch. But the first thing we will talk about is Tuchel. Actually, the first thing we say is greetings to Alan. Thanks for joining us as always, Alan. Trevor's not there with the plant. So we'll have to compensate in other ways for the entertainment value. But Thomas Tuchel, Suzy, I'll start with you because you are from the fair land across the pond, the less fair land in Ireland, of course, because we've got all the greenery and the Guinness. But Thomas Tuchel, there's a furore about the fact that he's another foreign manager. Although, to be fair, the British royal family are technically German as well, if you want to get down to the brass tacks and all. But I can't. If I was English, I wouldn't complain. But as an Irishman, I saw how great it could be to get somebody from a country that you would consider traditionally to be your enemy, so to speak. But we had the best times during the Jack Charlton era in Ireland, changed Irish football forever. And I'm not saying Thomas Tuchel will change English football forever, but he's a capable coach. He doesn't have much upward management to have to deal with, I would imagine. And he's tactically decent to very good coach. His only issue will probably be with the press, but every England manager has that problem, don't they?
Yeah, and it's funny because George, he wasn't even English. He was half Palestinian, half Turkish, and he never set foot in England. So, to me, this is, and my take on it is like if Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp was given the position, no one would say anything, and they would all be like, "Okay, we're going to win the World Cup," and So I think it's just because it's Tuchel, and his reputation kind of precedes him in regards to problems that he has at clubs. I think they're just like nitpicking on the fact that he's German, but no, I don't. Personally, I don't see what the issue is. If he's the man that's good enough for the job, or the only one that's available out of the options that they have, then so be it. It's the only thing I can understand is that kind of like it kind of derails the whole the management structure of what they planned of bringing in new young managers and working them up the system, and kind of puts a boot into that. But that's more on the England coach their managers, I guess, and I don't think an English manager has won anything since Howard Wilkinson and prior to Bob Paisley. So, it's telling, and so it's a big eye opener for England fans and the England FA.
Brian, we've talked a lot about like the likes of Eddie Howe, Graham Potter, etc. on this channel. Steve Cooper, I think, had some quotes about the whole situation today. When you look at Thomas Tuchel, his resume, the clubs he's been at, and the achievements he's had, there isn't an English coach that matches it. And in fact, if you were to go by British coaches, the only one that would actually come close to what Thomas Tuchel has achieved, just in quantity rather than quality, is Brendan Rodgers, and he's not going to be the next England manager at any point soon. Hopefully, the Ireland manager at one point, if we ever get a good team. But I mean, there should be no argument really from the media, should there? The best man out of all, if you took Thomas Tuchel and all of the English coaches put together, he's still the better one against all of them put together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's even an argument or a question about that. I just find it really funny now that you have Pochettino and both Tuchel right there, who are managers who are linked with the Manchester United job right there, both took other jobs right there to avoid that shit. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question. I mean, I think that Eddie Howe right there down the road would probably make a pretty decent manager. I mean, I know that Galley thing likes to hit on my criticism of Eddie Howe all the time, but I don't think he's that bad of a manager. I think that he's not, wrong place in the wrong kind of spot with Newcastle. And I think he was kind of overhyped personally. But anyway, I do think that Eddie Howe or Graham Potter's really not that bad of a manager right there. I think that he came there and got kind of a raw deal in some of his like exits that he had. But I don't think anybody's got anywhere near the resume right now that's available to, besides like with Tuchel, besides like you said, Klopp or Pep, and they're not going to manage in England as the England national team. I mean, they've especially Klopp, who can't stand the English press anyway. So that's not going to happen right there. I mean, and really with Pep, why would Pep want to go that route? I mean, I never have thought I could see maybe Pep going and doing something else outside of football. I really see him kind of going that same route that Jurgen Klopp went, to go into like a director of operations or something like that. Because you get to a point where you're in like your 50s and stuff like that, or are going into your 60s, where you don't want to do any of that stuff anymore. Where you just want to kind of just like chill out. That's why you see a lot of these managers go on, like, I know it was a little bit later, like Gerard Houllier came there, went over and decided to stop being a manager and just go do operations. Arsene Wenger came there, went over to just being an operations manager and dilly-dallying and screwing with football like he's been doing. But that right there. But I mean, I think Tuchel was a good pick, and I think that it would be crazy of the English media to criticize the choice.
So see, Brian says that that Eddie Howe, for example, is not that bad a choice, but the England manager really needs better than not that bad, doesn't it? Not because of the history of the fact that England invented the game, but also because if you don't have your ducks in a row as the England manager, you will get eaten alive by the English press, won't you?
Yeah, and I just thought any English or British manager that can manage the type of superstars that England have got now. I don't see how managers Bellingham and Kane and Trent and so forth, like the players have come on leaps and bounds for the England national team, and they need a manager that matches their achievements. Most of them, I mean, if you put the Man City and Liverpool players together, most of them have won pretty much everything there is in the game. So they need a manager that matches what they've achieved, and there is no English-British manager that does that.
Brian, we talked about Pochettino there. So like PSG literally has two managers now doing international football after they've done their time there. But also Pochettino, another manager who had issues with upper level management at the clubs he's been at. Do you think for managers like Tuchel and Pochettino, the day-to-day is probably what gets to them? They're coaches. They want to be out on the field with their players and not dealing with the administrative nonsense that even Arne Slot, I'm sure, as the head coach, I'm sure he has to deal with meetings and things he doesn't want to be in every single day. So the relative ease of the international calendar and international football probably suits their not the mentality, but their temperament almost. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Tuchel deals with that and Pochettino by extension.
I mean, I understand like there you talk about the daily ease right there, but it seems like we're having an international break every 3 weeks right now. I mean, it's the way it seems like. I mean, so you're kind of almost in a position right there. You get like about a week off, and then you're back at work trying to analyze these players. You're doing a lot of like almost like a little bit of a scouting job. So you're still not, I don't think you're really like down and like saying, okay, I'm totally relaxed mode right there, because you're still coming through and having to go watch players, watch tape, watch come up with different positions, scout your opposition that you're going to be playing in the next Nations League or whatever useless friendly that you have to play after and during these international breaks right there. But either way, right there, I don't think it's a complete downtime on there. I think the Pochettino right there. I think the Tuchel and Pochettino thing are two different cases right there, because I think that Pochettino's is more of us salvaging his reputation, and I think the U.S. Soccer Federation also salvaging their reputation at the same time. So I think it's more of like a mutual agreement right there with them. Well, as far as England goes, I think that Tuchel was just a logical choice out there, because again, there was nobody else out there. Pochettino needed to have a job right there because he's still young. And two, right there, I mean, after the messes that he's been through right there, I mean, as far as like with PSG right there, his exit from Spurs, I mean, different things like that. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff to salvage. So I think after he gets through with this 18 months right there, after the World Cup comes through, I think that he's going to wind up going there and getting himself into a better position, a better job position as back to the club level. So I wouldn't think that Pochettino is done and out. Tuchel right there. I mean, as many people said right there, he's very, like you said, he's very difficult for upper management to deal with right there, and he's also his man management skills are, from what I've read right there, are pretty tough. I mean, he's a lot of tough love right there with Tuchel right there. I mean, so it was like a contrast between him and Klopp. That's why I guess you saw like after Klopp left, Tuchel followed him at Dortmund and followed him at Mainz. So you see like a whole different type. They had to go do something completely opposite when Klopp came there and handled his players. So I think that Tuchel taking over England will maybe relieve him of a lot of that, having to constantly be the man, that man management in the place, in the coach there and doing with the players, where he just goes and scouts it and then goes back, executes the plan, and then moves on. Pochettino, again, he has to salvage his reputation, and I think that is the only way that he's going to do it is by going there and being successful with the U.S. Soccer Federation.
Hang on, sorry, I'm just getting word there. We have to suspend the show because we're going into another international break right now, apparently. A big hello to Nick Fadley there. Nice to see you again, Nick. On this matter, Susie, I'll give you the last word. In terms of I think his name is Nick Griffin on LBC Radio, the show that has James O'Brien, the YouTube clips, like complaining again about another foreign manager, and going through like Argentina and Brazil and all that, who don't have like foreign managers. But the pressure on England to perform is really intense internally, not externally. Nobody else cares if England wins another World Cup, but internally it's an immensely pressurized environment. Do you think that, two-part question. Number one, this is kind of a wispy kind of question, but Lee Carsley played 42 times for the Republic of Ireland and refused to sing the English national anthem for very many reasons. But I'm sure one of them was he just didn't want to burn some bridges with Ireland, at least, because he may become a future Ireland manager. Do you think if that wasn't the case, if there wasn't that kind of fury, that Tuchel wouldn't have as much going against him coming in? And then number two, do you think he's going to be a success?
I just don't understand the English media. It's just, I mean, as far as long as I've been following football, and the English media, and they're just such a toxic environment. Like, they like to build players up and managers up, turn them down. They did it with Gaza, they did it with Bobby Robson, they did it, Graham Taylor, and it's just typical. Like, you're not going to please everyone. So all right, if they didn't get Tuchel, then who would they've gone for English wise? Eddie Howe is probably, or Graham Potter, probably the two that stand out. And then what happens when they fail? Who are they going to bring in? And they don't have. It's telling that Howard Wilkinson was the last English manager to win anything in the league. So it just, I don't know. It's just bewildering why England feel like they have this God-given right to win something, and they have to do it with an English manager. It just, And then that being said, you've got Declan Rice, who's Irish, you've got Grealish, who's Irish, and there's no big furore about them playing for England. So it just doesn't make sense. Going down the manager route and picking on the fact that Tuchel is German. It is what it is. You pick the best man for the job, and I think that's the best man available. But it's like I'm saying, I don't understand why Tuchel has to wait. Is there a reason why he has to wait until the next couple of international before he takes over?
Yeah, I think that's the case. It might be a thing with Carsley's contract that they don't want to have to pay him gardening leave, maybe, or something. Like, it could be something, or it's just maybe Carsley's doing the Irish goodbye, and he's just spending like 2 months going, "See you, everybody, see you next time, bye bye." Because everybody thinks the Irish goodbye is slipping out before and not telling anybody, but that's not what the Irish goodbye is. The Irish goodbye is spending 2 hours going around to everybody to make sure they know that you're leaving. That's the real Irish goodbye.
I think my wife thinks I'm Irish now.
There you go. But do you think he'd be a success, Susie?
Success for England is to win something. And so no.
So no, then.
No, definitely
not. So let's move on then. We have this issue. This is in Spanish, but apparently it's Liverpool know that Alexander-Arnold is not renewing his contract, is the headline in Macka. More rumors coming out that they're trying to get some sort of deal done. So I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to throw this question out, starting with Brian. There's no doubt that Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the most talented ball-playing players we have at the club. But given that his position is fullback, are we really missing out a lot on that side of things if we lose him? Like, for example, I was thinking about how to pose the question. If he didn't have his super accurate long passes and his great free kicks, is he any better than Conor Bradley at the fullback position?
Had this conversation today at work about Trent with another Liverpool supporter out there. So you have to have a caliber of players that you put world class. Then you can have super talented. You have mediocre. Then you have, I don't know why the hell you're playing professional football.
And then after that, Marouane Fellaini.
Yeah, exactly. So Trent's not world class. I mean, I think that Trent is super talented, but Trent still has ways to go to unlock all himself, to his skills to become world class. I mean, I know this is a controversial thing with many Liverpool supporters that with that statement right there, but I mean, we are very critical of Trent with different things. One, defending. One, his ability to come there, go back and play, go back into position. Two, his ability to go there to assist, which I guess goes along with defending, to assist his center back that's next to him. The other one right there is his constantly going up and going to the middle of the pitch right there, where he thinks that, which I mess with Tamushin all the time, where he wants to be a midfielder. So if Trent left, I think we would miss his passing ability. I think that we would miss the free kick, his free kicks. I think those are things that we would definitely miss. But I think that, you still he did hold up. I think that Reece Williams would have been, not Reece Williams, I can't remember his name right now. Nico Williams. Sorry, Nico Williams right there would have maybe go there and achieved the same type of skills if he was going there to actually nurture to do that. I think that Connor Bradley is an excellent right back. I think that he actually sticks to the game plan of being a right back. I mean, and plays back. I think sometimes that Trent gets lost, and again, we're all critical of Trent right there, and I think I would miss Trent. But if Trent wants to go, I mean, we've had bigger superstars leave this club right there and come and regret. I mean, just to think about the people like that, I'll say Coutinho right there for one that was recently right there. He regrets this move. He has to right there because what did he achieve after he left? He left us nothing. I mean, you can go back down to other names right there. Players, Ian Rush left. I mean, a lot of players have left this club. I mean, Kevin Keegan left. I mean, and
to be fair, Kevin Keegan became like World Footballer of the year after he left for Hamburg.
True.
Yeah. He's the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, but again, right there, I do think that if a player wants to go into modern football, they're going to go. I mean, there's no convincing right there of saying, hey, guess what, Trent, you have to stay here. I mean, Bozeman killed that off right there and many years ago. So would I miss Trent? Absolutely. Do I think that that Trent is replaceable in some aspects? Absolutely. So I mean, but ultimately, Trent has the option to become a Liverpool hero for the rest of his life by going there and staying with the club, putting on the captain's armband after Virgil leaves and leading this club. If he doesn't want that, that's his choice. I mean, so there's no player bigger than the club, and I agree 100%. So, if Trent wants to leave, best wishes, and that's it.
I'm not sure. I agree with Steve Claridge there because we did have Neil Ruddock and he was bigger than two clubs, to be fair.
We had Jan Mulvey.
We had Jan Mulvey as well, yeah. But so see, when we talk about those kind of creative attacking and fullbacks, you don't really have to think more kind of creative and flair than like Cafu and Roberto Carlos, but those lads could defend as well. Like they could defend. They may have been vicious defenders at times, but they knew what their jobs were when they got back. But Trent is frequently out of position, frequently caught on the blind side of the attacker, and almost feels like a winger sometimes playing as a fullback. And much like for oldies like me, the very few times that Mark Walters had to play as a left back during the Souness era. When Steve Nicol wasn't around, and because we sold Steve Staunton stupidly, it is like Sterling left us and went on to win more trophies, but he's never progressed from that. He was never, his next move was always going to be for less money, and now he's struggling to get game time at Chelsea's kindergarten club. Coutinho, we talked about, he probably does regret that. I think that move, if he'd have stayed with Klopp, I think he would have propelled us once he figured out that system to a level a lot quicker than we got there under Klopp. Is it going to be a case where Trent goes there to play at Madrid with his mate Jude and probably wins a few trophies, but then his next move is to like Villa? As they maintain their Champions League pushes every season under Unai Emery, like he's not going to make another big money move after that. He's not going to be like City's next superstar after Real Madrid. So if there's smart people in his ear, should they be saying, look, give it another think? Madrid is nice. You can probably go there in 2 more years, 3 more years, but let's see what's happening at Liverpool. Maybe another league title, maybe another Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, I know what Brian's saying, but there are players that have beat us and who've regretted it, but there's also been players that have done well, like Alonso, Mascherano, Suarez, even McMahon. It's parallel to what Trent's going through now. We lost McManaman for free. He went on to Madrid. He won a few trophies, but McManaman would never be considered a legend. And he ended up he ended up at City, and I think that's the route that if Trent goes, everything that he's worked for, and as much as he's won, and if he leaves to Madrid, he's not going to be there for 7-10 years. He'll probably be there for 3-4 seasons, and then who knows? He will come back to England, and I don't think. And Liverpool just historically we just don't take players back. I think Ian Rush was the only one that ever left and really came back.
And Steve Staunton.
We
took him back.
Yeah. It's just a hard one. I know what Brian's saying. He's not world class. I think he's a world class player. He's just not a world class right back. It's just, I don't know. I'm out of the three between him, Salah, and Virgil. I'd rather lose Trent. The only hurtful or the only painful point losing Trent is that we're going to lose him for free, because he's definitely worth at least 70 million, and that's 70 million we're letting. Well, that's basically walking the door. That's the only thing I regret if he leaves. That we didn't get a penny from.
Before I go to Brian, I just want to say thanks to Maxwell. What a great name. Charles Ibekwe, I think his name is, and Sarah Perry for liking us on Facebook. We appreciate the likes. And everybody else should be liking and subscribing, smashing the like button, or tapping it gently if you're an old geezer like us. Brian, for all of the good stuff that Trent gives us, if we could have capitalized on it money wise earlier, how many problems do you think that fee would solve for us? For example, would we fetch enough money to get a better number 9 than Nunez? Would we figure out the left back position? Is it because I keep thinking of the loyalty thing? Like he's not Coutinho. He grew up in Liverpool. Like he's a Liverpool lad. Now I'm saying this to us two middle-aged lads and our handsome co-host Suzy there with his youthish, boyish good looks. But in 2024, if you're playing for a top club, you don't have to worry about rent or food or electricity for the rest of your life if you know how to budget and know how to live within your means. So money shouldn't be an option. And you couldn't pay me enough money to leave Liverpool Football Club if I was a Liverpool Football Club player. Maybe when I'm 32, I might go to like Swansea or something like that for, or Southampton or Brighton for a few years. But for somebody to talk about the passion of Liverpool, etc., for this to even be an issue, and to go for free, it almost seems a bit of a slap in the face, doesn't it?
Absolutely, but it also goes back to that age-old thing that we've talked about on this show so many times. We had the opportunity to tie all these players down a couple seasons ago, but we did not do it. And we're basically going through doing the same thing as, I'm sorry, Sir Z, Mane. I mean, that type of situation. I mean, we let Bobby go for free. I mean, we've let players leave for free. I mean, it's to me, it's a big pie in the face on FSG right there with how we've got to this situation right there. And I mean, I'm by far not an FSG out person or anything like that goes in that ballpark, but we've let players slip through our hands right there where we could have held on to them. And if you wanted to eventually go there and make a profit on them and sell them, at least some of the 2-year deals right there, then move them after that. So at least get something out of it right there. But we're just letting people leave for free. And now, as a local lad, somebody who grew up in this club, somebody who's been in this club since he was a child, and and they go through and leave when you even hit your peak, your peak of your career. I mean, you still have he's not at full potential yet. I mean, he's 26 years old. He still has two solid years of at peak right there. Wouldn't you want to do that for your city, for your club? I mean, I just don't understand. I hope that his older brother talks to him and says, hey, you could be throwing all this shit away. And I think that's maybe that there's a conversation that needs to be done with them. I mean, and really, if you want to go on with Bellingham, I think Bellingham has actually dipped in performance from last year when he's at Madrid. So again, right there, is this something you want to do? I mean, yeah, you're like you said right there, you can go win 2 or 3 trophies right there, but you're only going to last in Madrid for about 2 or 3 seasons, and they're just going to come there and chew you up, spit you out, and you're just going to get sent to play somewhere else. I mean, and you'll never be in the same limelight right there that you are in. That you are at with the club you've been with. I mean, look at Michael Owen, prime example. Came there and got his head turned by Madrid, and we went in this, and he said he wanted to do better. Came back crawling and begging to come back to the club, and they told him no. I mean, you made your choice. And, and what did he do? He came there, went to Newcastle, then came there, went and called, hey, will you want to sign me back? We said no again, and he went to United. So again, there is no easy way back to this. Once you've reached this high right there as a player right there, and as a local lad, I know that Michael Owen was a local lad, but either way, this your city. I mean, when you want to fight for it. So I mean, to me, again, his older brother needs to go there and talk some sense into him, since that's his agent.
Steve Carriage says, he talks about the Alex Ferguson situation. Liverpool never did that to King Kenny. Now, not quite the same topic we're talking about, but in terms of like people coming back, etc., like that, that's the thing about Liverpool that makes us a bit different, I think, isn't it? We're a very emotional club, very sentimental club, Susie. But once somebody cuts their strings with us, we kind of let them float away. Like Jordan Henderson hasn't done anything particularly heinous to Liverpool, but he broke the culture by signing for the Saudi Arabian club, and he's been essentially cut out of our recent history by fans. Like, we don't look at him the same way. For Man United to do what they did with Ferguson, he doesn't need the money, etc. But to not have somebody of that stature hanging around the club, does that, do you think, number one, in that situation, what do you think of it? And number two, does that speak to why we almost subconsciously want Trent to stay with us? Because if he does go to Madrid, he kind of burns his bridges with us, doesn't he?
I'm on the other side of the coin with the Ferguson thing. And because I think as long as he's been there, he's cast this big shadow over United. And, you only have to listen to, like, Solskjaer, who keeps calling him boss and goes to advice for Ferguson. Like, he just casts a huge shadow over that club and everything that he achieved. Any new manager coming in is constantly having to fight against him. It's when Ronaldo went back for the second time, supposedly it's by Ferguson, and, it was Ferguson that made him make the move and not, Solskjaer that made him make the move. So in some ways, I can see the positive aspect of cutting someone like Ferguson that club, because that's the only way the club's going to move forward. It's been, when did Ferguson retire? It's been like, 10, 15 years now? And the club's gone downhill since then. And they're constantly living under his shadow. And when Shankly retired, or, the club stopped coming to the club because they didn't want that shadow over the club. They just, the club has to move on. So I think it'll end up to be a positive move for Man United, as much as I hate to say it. And on the human aspects of it, it's horrible. And I think because everything's going wrong for Man United anyway, it's just another, like, cherry on the top to, another, thing to bash them over the head with. But I think it's a positive move for them. I think they need to come out of that shadow and just be their own club, not Ferguson's Man United. And in regards to Trent, I don't know. I think it would have been more hurtful if Gerrard had left than with Trent leaving. And in fact, Gerrard stayed, because Gerrard, he single-handedly lifted our club from defeat in so many occasions. But Trent never did that with us. And yeah, he's one of ours, and yes, but I don't think he's the same stature as Gerrard. Him leaving is similar to McManaman leaving. I mean, in my eyes, yeah, I don't want him to leave. But like I said, at the end, they've had to choose between him, Salah, and Virgil staying. I would let.
Before I go to Brian, I will say thanks to Samuel Tule for following us from Liberia. Good to see you, Samuel. Brian, the final out on the Trent Alexander-Arnold situation. I believe Conor Bradley would serve us probably even a little bit better tactically for Arne Slot's system. But having said that, a passer of that quality is not somebody you can find on the cheap, and we currently have him for next to nothing, like for a minor investment in his development. Is there anybody in the team that right now you think could match his passing ability, or if he does go, is that a skill we're going to have to replace somehow?
McAllister. I think McAllister's passing ability is pretty incredible. I mean, different position. I mean, on the pitch and all that. But if you watch some of the passes he's made, I mean, they're peaches that he puts up there. I mean, he put a pass up there for Nunez to score. That's enough right there to be a peach. I mean. But again, I think that definitely. I think that that's probably one of your better players. And again, like I said, I will miss Trent if Trent leaves because of the abilities that he does, and also the enthusiasm that he has that he does show on the pitch right there on the pitch. But in the long run, it's his choice. I can't tell him what to do. None of us can tell him what to do. That's got to be inside his head. And if that's what he wants to do, and I agree with what Sir Z said, it's kind of like a McManaman situation right there when he left and went to Real Madrid. None of us liked that situation. I mean, it was like, okay, but when McManaman came there and won the European Cup right there with Real Madrid, I was like, oh, hey, that's cool, man. One of our players came there and won the European Cup. A Liverpool, a guy who played for us. So I gave him that. He didn't have the same I'm leaving kind of like a Michael Owen situation happen or anything like that. He didn't force his way out. And I think that's the big difference with it. And again, I would have been more hurt with Gerrard would have went to Chelsea. That would have killed. That would have crushed right there. If Trent comes there and leaves and goes to Real Madrid, that's on him. That's his. I won't go there and have any ill feelings for him. I probably won't really have a feeling for it. I'd be kind of disappointed right there, because I don't think he's going to reach his potential at Madrid as a whole player, whole person, whole everything right there, because that's just a designer club. That's all it is. They've been a designer club for years and years and years. They pick and prod of players. I'll go right there with a current player that doesn't even play like himself. Chukwuemini right now isn't even the same player that he was when he went there. When he came to there. And they just eat players up. They spit them out. And Vivaldi right there. This is the same thing. Rodrigo right there isn't having the best. There's like so many, you can go down the names of even current players there that just aren't the same players when they went into Real Madrid, because it's a pressure cooker. And I don't know whether Trent's going to be the type of person to take that pressure cooker situation and have Macka turn on you every 5 seconds right there and say, Trent's unhappy, he can't speak Spanish, and that's the kind of shit that Macka does too. And they don't realize that. You think the English press is bad? Wait till you get that press from Macka in Madrid right there. That is like 100 times worse than the British press.
And nice little segue there from the mention of Chelsea, because this Sunday they come to Anfield and we have a game against them, which is interesting, Suzy, because if we looked at the fixtures after the first 4 games or so, you would think it's possibly an easy game for Liverpool. Not as easy as Chelsea games go, at least. But they've come on a little bit in the last few weeks, and Cole Palmer is just a player, I think, apart from the fact that he seems like a complete moron, intellectually at least, he's a talent that you would want at your club. Is this a tricky game now all of a sudden for us, Suzy, or is the Arne Slot revolution, is the Arne Slot train going to continue barreling down the tracks as it has been the last few weeks?
No, this is definitely it's definitely a tricky game, and I think this is the litmus test. We keep saying, we haven't you know, we haven't faced anyone big and what, you know, and they keep beating ahead with that, you know. So this is the game if we win this, I think it will shut a lot of people up. So I'm worried about this game. I think the last game after the international was Forest, and we lost that, didn't we? So it's and it's at home. It's a tough game. Chelsea have come on leaps and bounds, definitely from last season, and I did predict they're going to come fourth this season. I think Cole Palmer is just, if we can keep him quiet, you know, we can come up on top, but it's keeping him quiet because that kid, like I said, is his IQ level's very high, but on that pitch, he knows how to play that game. He's freaking amazing.
Brian, for us, some question over the goalkeeper position. With Becker's obviously out, Allison's out. Maybe a possibility of Kelleher being out. As we said before, I think we went on there, sick with embarrassment over that pass that led to the goal against Ireland. But Jaros seems an able third keeper, not somebody we should be afraid of having in goal like other third keepers we have had in the recent Artemilo. Not Artemilo, the other one. What's his name?
Adrian?
Yeah,
John.
sorry, yeah. Same business, both injured all the time. But I mean, no, I don't believe there was any major injuries from the Nations League games there. I think we've got pretty much everybody healthy. So we should be able to field, outside of the goalkeeper, a full team. Should we be confident in the fact that Arne Slot's system is very Rafa machine-like rather than gung-ho, all guns blazing, prime Brendan Rodgers, all of Jurgen Klopp? We could literally foresee Slot looking at this game and going, right, we're playing this tactical. We're going to do this, this, and this, and it's not going to be fun for anybody to watch, but we're getting the 3 points because of it. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, you have some big positives right there. Okay, so you're missing Fofana and also Cucurella. So I mean, that's two people that you're missing right there. So that's their starting center hats are out already. Reece James is out right there, but I can't really count him because he seems like he's been out for a long time anyway, off and on. I mean, so they definitely have so we have that advantage to us. The only question I think they had at first right there was McAllister right there, because I know he wasn't practicing right there before he went on and played like a half for Argentina the other night. So I think he's good. So I mean, I'm okay, right? I think that we have a pretty deep squad, and I think that the tactics right there we're going to play for us. I mean, my big worry right there, of course, right there is probably of course it's going to be probably Palmer, but I think that we have the ability to keep him under control in there. So I think their worries right there is keeping Diaz under control and keeping. I mean, after he had another good international break right there with Colombia. I mean, Mo's got rest right there because he went home early, so from Egypt duty. So that means he's well rested ahead of this. So I mean, we've got a pretty well rested side right there. I mean, Jota came through and looked pretty decent against Portugal. I mean, and then even Slavoj looked good for Hungary. I mean, he came through and had a double. I mean, so you could go there and go on that. I think that we're in a good spot right there. I mean, and also we're the last match of the weekend, I think, or on Sunday. So which means we're not this Saturday lunchtime fixture right there, which we all hate right there. I think we had with Forest was a lunchtime fixture after international break. So I think that Slots had enough time to actually talk to them and get them ready for this right there. So I think that we're in line for a pretty decent result.
A big up the Sideline Football Show. Good to see Sideline Football Show again in the comments. Susie, Brian talks about Jota having a good international break, but Nunes didn't have to do anything for the international break. So the eternal debate for us is that number 9 position, because I think it is tactically the weakest spot we have. We just don't have anybody who's effective. Like that you can hang your hat on every week. You know, the great thing about the great number 9s at Liverpool, like from Keegan to Rush to Michael Owen to Robbie Fowler, you could kind of guarantee that they were going to cause problems every week, but we don't have that right now. So if you're Arnie Slot, do you go with the hot hand of Jota, or do you go with the freshness of Núñez for this game?
No, I'll go with Jota. He's proved himself pretty much in all the games that he's played. I mean, I want Núñez to play well. He can't seem to get out of his head, and he's just. I just don't see any positivity from Núñez when he has come on. Apart from that one game where he did score. It's a tough choice, but I'll go for Jota. Like I think he's more consistent, and he's I think he's taking his opportunity as well. And he's better defensively. Like as an attacker, he's better defensively than Núñez as well. When he's up front. But yeah, and I think he works better with Salah and Diaz as well. So yeah, I'll go for Jota.
Brian, in the midfield, Gravenberch didn't have too hot of an international break from what I read. But would you still stick with the Gravenberch McAllister Szoboszlai midfield?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, of course, right there, my question mark still is going to be the Szoboszlai right there, because I as I said almost every week right there, I don't think he's a number 10, but I mean, you still have to go out there and put him in that spot. I think that Curtis Jones kind of did not really win that spot the last time he played it. I mean, so again, you talk about the number that 9 spot up for grabs. That 10 slot was up for grabs also. I think that the double pivot is pretty much locked in. I don't think you're prying McAllister and Gravenberch away from those positions as long as they're healthy. But again, I had so many question marks with that number 10. I think that it's a big shame that Harvey got hurt, because I think that would have been a perfect spot for Harvey to be in. And I think that he was working his way toward that when he was going through. But I mean, yeah, there's no change in the midfield, because it's the only thing you can really do. I mean, I could see you go there bringing in Curtis in like the 60th minute, 50th minute right there after, just to go, because I mean Slot definitely likes to rotate his players. I mean, maybe 70th minute, because I know he usually brings out his right back and his left back first most of the time. So, yeah, I mean, but as far as starting it, that's their spots.
So before we ask the scores, just for anybody who's watching, if you're into the Fantasy Football League stuff, we will have a show after this, so make sure you stay tuned and stick with us. Before we wrap everything up, Suzy, give me a score prediction and who you think our stand-up player is going to be.
I'll go for 2-1 to a stand-up player. I'll say Salah, maybe Chiesa if he comes on.
Do you think Salah will be up to get at Chelsea the way we would wish he was, because it's Chelsea?
Oh yeah. I think that myth is done. Especially Cucurella not playing, and the goalkeeper isn't the best. I think Salah can cause some damage in this game.
Because it's not like Roma. He had a great relationship at Roma, but with Chelsea, there's that little bit in the needle, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think Salah's off. Like, there was that myth going around that he can't play well in big games, but he's proven that he's a big game player, and this is a huge game for us, for both players. I think he'll be the difference maker on Sunday. Sorry.
Brian, your score prediction on who your standout player is going to be?
I'm right with Sir Z on both. Are 2-1. I think that Salah's going to have a pretty big game with there, because Salah does enjoy playing against Chelsea, and I think that and again, missing those starting center halves right there is going to make a pretty big difference. So Salah 2-1 Salah, a standout player.
I'm I'm going to go with 5-0 Liverpool and Darwin Núñez hat-trick from the bench. I have to get it right one day. Like, it has to happen by law of numbers.
Yeah, you'll get it one day. One day it'll happen.
Like the Legends game in 10 years' time.
Yeah. We'll be playing a non-league side right there in the FA Cup.
So with that said, it's time to wrap it up for us. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, on the Facebook and Instagram, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, and also join our Patreon for all the extra stuff. Make sure you are tapping your like bar very, very gently, or smashing it if you have a robust keyboard. But Gally will be up next with the Fantasy Football League show. A big thank you to everybody who watched and commented. We love the comments. We can't get to them all the time, but we do love to see them. But we also want to thank Sir Z for his time, and maybe we will see him next week, and then we will all probably dress up for the Halloween episode as nobody. Because we have to see whether we have enough people to do it that night. But we will have the morning coffee tomorrow morning and a pre and a post match on Sunday for the game, so make sure you pay attention to that. But for us, it's another Thursday done, and stick around, get some coffee or Red Bull or a bowl of Weetabix like I'm about to do into you before the next show. And we will see everybody, Brian and myself, and then hopefully Suzie next week. Have a good one. Peace out and enjoy the weekend. Here's the 7th part.